Hello. Hello, hello, what do you know? Well, I know that today's podcast day. Why? Because I say, that's why. Hey, buddy. So, I'm going through getting things ready for that. Oh, I know that one. What about that song? So, I've also got something really cool going on. I got, hold on, wait a minute. There's my notes there. Take that down. I don't need that. I don't need that. I need to clear things out over here before I get started on my podcast. I got a lot going on, people. So, alright, here we go. It's going to be a fun one, I think. I mean, here's hoping. Luigi! Che pastor, Luigi? Okay. Let's put this way. Let's see. Okay, you pointed me. You pointed me. You pointed me. No, you pointed me. There we go. Okay. Now you're pointing at me. Okay. Microphone point at me. Huh? Okay, it is. It's right there. Let's do some checking here, see where we are. Okay, so the podcast today, we're going to be talking about some fun stuff. I hope you guys are strapped in and ready to go. All right, cool. I mean, it's good. I could probably turn that up just a dingy, boop, a little bit. Welcome to the Spike Spencer Podcast. It's time for the show. There we go. Hey, Red, how are ya? Good to see you. Hey, man, no problem. Yeah, I don't know. Kim wants me to do a little something. She's like, I like that. That's kind of cool. I said, all right, let's try it. We'll see. I don't know how long it's going to last. It doesn't get much better than this, man. I mean, that's it. It's very... Yeah, I was talking about it yesterday. I'm part Native American, so I'm practically hairless. I'm also German, Scottish, Irish, Blackfoot, Cherokee, Blackfoot, English, Irish, Scottish, German. Yeah. And according to Ancestry.com, a little Sudanese South African as well. Today, the title of today's podcast, it just hit me last night. I was like, failure's only failure if you fail to fantasticate it. What? What is with Spike and these titles? I mean, it's crazy. It's like he says these funny things, and I'm like, I don't know what the hell he's talking about. Basically, it's how to turn failure into fascination. So there you go. That's what we're going to deal with today. I think it's going to be a good one. I might go a little deep. I don't know. I mean, I could. Hello, old school gamer. Good to see you. So we're going to have some fun with this today, like I don't have fun any other time. So today is the last day for the Reluctant Heroes journey. If you don't get in now, you ain't getting in. For quite a while. I may do another launch 3 months down the road, but it'll be a different price point. So if you're not in the journey now, get your butts in the journey. I got so many testimonials and people are like, oh my gosh, this is really, really amazing. So here, let me give you one more time. I cannot stress how awesome it is. If you like the podcast, then you want to get in that journey. I'm telling you right now. Because there's a lot of other people in there too, and it's going to get bigger and bigger. And you can start it now while there's still a few people and while it's still cheap. So, when I say cheap, it's a hell of a value, guys. I mean, damn. And I wrote in some of the emails, I was letting people know, I was like, look, I get paid like $500 plus an hour to coach somebody one-on-one, right? So I put this group together, and I think the reason why it's taken a little bit more time is because, personal growth and self-help isn't really something in the geekdom world that people think about, But a lot of people, it's like, I got people in the group that are almost my age. So it's like, yeah, we're anime fans, sci-fi fans, voiceover video games, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But these are people who also run businesses. These are also people who are working hard and want to get ahead in their chosen field, in their chosen jobs. I was like, hi, I've coached 7-figure earners. So, yeah, the stuff I'm talking about is real. So jump in. It's $11 a month right now. It will never be that low again. So there you go. You get 1 hour of coaching a month. We go over something like this. You got access to all the podcasts, so you've got a lot of good stuff there too. But the coaching goes in deeper. Plus, you can ask me questions, and we can talk about specific issues inside the group. And there's a weekly challenge. This is the fun part. The weekly challenge is something I give to everybody in the group. On Mondays I say, okay, here's something to work on this week, and something real small, baby steps. But it's something that if you utilize it, and you actually apply it, then it will help your life. Because just like in my book, Food Game, about dating, I'm like, dude, change one thing, change two things, change three things. As you change something, make sure it gets in there. Then change something else. Don't change like, okay, I'm going to change 10 things today. You won't change any of them because you'll be overwhelmed. And that's a problem. I'll do another one. How to get out of overwhelm. And I need to listen to my own podcast on that one because I feel overwhelmed a lot. It's also because I have a crap ton of ideas. So many ideas going in my head. I'm like, oh yeah, did I work on my book today? Which one? Did I work on the funnel for this product? Have I developed that product? Am I doing this product? Oh, here's another idea. There's another idea. Da, 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 da. So a lot going on, my friends. A lot going on. So, mafioso, huh? What's that, a mafioso, huh? What are you trying to say, Red? I don't think you understand what I'm talking about here, do you? Or maybe one of the, hey, this guy right here, hey, tell me two times. Oh, that was three. Ha! Anyway, welcome to my show. That's what I thought you said. So, it's a beautiful day out here, as always. Don't I just say that every time? Does it make you sick? It's a gorgeous day on the Gold Coast of Australia. And for those of you that haven't been here, Red, I don't think you've been here for a while. We got our visa extension. We are staying here until February, at least. We may even go longer. Right now, the wife and little baby boy are out there at the pool, about 50 yards that way. And the pool it's really cool. It's really set up. It's got like boulders and all sorts of things, and it's got sand and everything. This is a resort here that we're staying in. And so he's going to go out there and he's going to be playing with sand and everything, and he's going to come back. Very cool. We don't have to go all the way to the beach, although we love going all the way to the beach. I mean, it's not that far. It's like 2 blocks that way, literally. So, I mean, it's a little bit of a walk, but not, I mean, where we were last time, where we were staying was so much better. I mean, location-wise, kind of. This one has its pluses. The other one had its pluses. I mean, there are loud people here. There were loud people there. Kim thinks it's a little bit quieter. I'm not so certain because people walk right by our windows all the time. But over there, we were up on the 4th floor, and we could see the ocean, and we could hear the waves. We can't hear the waves here, so that's a bummer. But we could go out and walk over to the beach, and we walked on the beach all the time, and I missed that. I loved the beach at sunset. It's just it's so amazing. So now I work out in the afternoons. So around sunset, I'm in the gym. But the sunset is going to get longer and longer because we're moving in out of winter into summer. I guess that's happening. What's August? So it's happening like August, September. I think we start going into the spring and summer. Yeah. So we're getting there. So the nights will get longer. So that'll be interesting. So it's the beginning of next year. Yep, February, beginning of next year. And we may try for another extension after that. I mean, we've talked about the possibility of, citizenship here. Of saying, hey, what if we just lived here? I mean, nothing's really changed that much except my voiceover career. It's non-existent right now. But that's fine. I can build that up, and I've got a studio now that I can work with. I just got to let people know and say, hey guys, let's go. I'm ready to go. I got everything set up. Let's do this. But it's just a little more hassle for them. So it's like, hey, you can't just walk into the studio. Well, nobody can walk into the studios right now. But everybody seems to have their own setup. Mine's easier. My setup has a guy who has the setup. I just walk in and go, let's do it. So it's all done. So I don't have to try to sit here and try to be the engineer and all that crap because I don't understand it and I don't want to know it. I don't give a damn. I really don't. So, so this is making me do more things like podcasting and doing some more trainings. And I've got an idea. And you guys know Food Game. And I've got the Food Game Dating Success Strategies system, and I haven't finished it. I did 2 videos that were moving forward with that, and I think I can do better with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm looking at a mini podcast. Something I'm looking at is just interesting. It's like called a pop-up podcast, and you do like 5 episodes, and it's like everyone's like 30 minutes or an hour or whatever, but it's just 5, and it's like. And you get that, you let people know I'll do it like maybe 2 weeks from now or something like that. I'm still waiting I'm going through the marketing of it right now. And it's like, that would be cool because Food Game Dating Success Strategies it's different. And especially for COVID, it's amazing. Because think about the concept. People are like, what do I do? I want to date. I want to have relations. I want to date. But everybody's too afraid. I'm like, well, what do you think a date is? And most people go, well, I want to take her out and go to a restaurant, but we don't have any of those. I'm like, exactly. What is Food Game, my friend? She comes to your place, you cook. Booyah. So instead of worrying about 20, 30, 40 people at a restaurant and going, I think I might get COVID. Oh. Well, you deal with one person. You deal with one person. And if these tests, which are ridiculous anyway, I'm COVID free. Swab again. I'm COVID full. Swab again. I'm COVID free. Swab again. I've got measles. Wait, what test was that? So it's a little bizarre. But anyway, if you're fearful and worried, then let's make the odds as good as they possibly can. You plus one other person, period. The end. Thank you and good night. Have dinner. Wear your masks if you want, which is ridiculous if you're going to have somebody over. But especially if you want to do things with this other person, right? Which everybody does. Everybody wants to have a good relationship and have some fun. So anyway, I'm thinking about the best way to date during COVID times. Do a quick thing like that and get people on there. I don't know. I'm working on that. I'm working up the concept because Food Game is definitely the best possible way of making things happen. If you're a guy, you learn to cook. It's real quick, real easy. In my book, I have like 5 ingredients or less recipes. You learn to cook 1 recipe, 1, and you can date like a champ. Anyway, that's all I'm saying. And I think I'll make that work. I think it'd be a good idea. What do you think? Any thoughts? Any impressions? Any ideas? Any concerns? Tips? Constructive criticisms? Anything of that line? All right. Well, it's looking like it's about time to start the podcast. So here's what I'm going to do. You guys know, I'm going to go ahead and put the message here. I am podcasting now. I cannot reply till I'm done. Hold on to your butts. There you go. There it is. Okay, so glad you guys are here. Let's talk about failure. I'm just going off the cuff, so I really don't know. I've got a couple of notes here. But other than that, you know how I roll, people. You know how I roll. Hello and welcome to the Mind Scrambler podcast. I am Spike Spencer, and I'm not wearing pants. But you already knew that, didn't you? Oh boy, if you don't know me, hopefully you're still listening. I have fun with all of the things I do. Been podcasting for a while, been in voiceover for a very long time. And I love talking about success and relationships and communication and connection. And that's what this is all about. And I get asked a lot when I'm coaching somebody, what is it they want to avoid? Failure, it's on everybody's mind. They want to succeed. Everyone wants to succeed in relationships, in business, in school, in jobs, in physical fitness, in their relationships with their families, their spouses, etc. Everyone wants to have success. And yet, what usually happens in our lives? Failure, over and over and over again. And that's great. Okay, right now you're probably thinking, this guy's off his nut. Well, let me tell you why it's great. Brings me to the title of this podcast, Failure's Only Failure If You Fail to Fantasticate It. Now, if you guys didn't know what fantasticating was, I didn't know what it was until I looked it up. I was like, oh, that is an amazing word. I am going to use that word as much as I can. It's a verb, and it says to make something seem fanciful or fantastic. I'm like, that is amazing, because we all have failure in our lives. And what does that look like? See, people put failure together. You might hear my son, they're coming back in. And that's what's so cool about these podcasts, because it's live and I ain't stopping it for nothing. Oh, he's crying. He's had a failure. We need to fantasticate that. So here's the point. Fantasticating something is making it seem fanciful or fantastic. When you fail, when you do something wrong, you only fail if you fail to learn something from that quote-unquote failure. I try not to think of failure as failure at all. And it's hard. Believe me, it's hard. I know. When things aren't going your way, you can really get on your own back, and I'm a pro at getting on my own back. But failure is simply a lesson learned. When you look at some of the greats like Thomas Edison, and you get different numbers, but they say, he tried 1,000 times, he tried 10,000 times to create a light bulb. And every time it didn't work, somebody says, wow, that's a lot of failure. How do you deal with that? He goes, I don't have failure. Every time something doesn't work, I know one more way that it doesn't work, which means I'm one step closer to making it work. And that's the key, I think. If you think of it that way, I failed. Oh, darn. Okay, what's the lesson that I learned from that? And don't do it again. I mean, a failure is a failure if you keep failing, if you keep doing it. It's like if something happens and it doesn't work, well, then try again, but not exactly precisely the same way. There needs to be a tweak in there somewhere. There needs to be a lesson learned from the last quote-unquote failure. So I think that's something that's interesting, because if you can look at it from the standpoint of, wow, that was fascinating. I tried this and this and this. That didn't work. Fascinating. Now let's see if I do this and this and this, what happens? You have that open idea, that open sort of fascination about the process. So I can go down the line through, voiceover, acting, or the dating scene, or real estate deals. I mean, there's so many different places where I've failed over and over again. And there was another podcast that I said, it was called Hell Yeah to the No. Hell's Yeah to the No. And that was talking about a reframing of how I was framing failure in my own head. For example, I used to tell people, when you're doing voiceover or acting, you audition. You audition over and over again. And they say that's like, for every 100 auditions, you may get a gig. Something like that. I'm like, that's a lot of auditions. And for somebody that doesn't get that many auditions, it's going to take me a long time, according to those numbers. And so what I used to say, though, was I get told no for a living. And it didn't even click until like the day before I did that podcast that I was reinforcing the negativity. I was reinforcing the no. So if I say, I get told no for a living, I'm going into an audition, what am I expecting to hear? No. Well, that taints the entire process. So what I did was I changed my mindset, and I'm like, holy moly, I get told yes for a living, which is very, very valuable because the no's don't pay my bills. The yeses do, because the yes is a success that I get paid for, which pays my bills. So I don't get told no for a living. I get told no for a not living. I get told yes for a living. Somebody wants to coach with me, they want to give me money. Yes. Somebody doesn't want to coach with me, they don't give me money, that's a no. So what? I don't care. I can look at, the process and say, okay, well, how did that transaction go down? Let's look at the funnel, So look at it this way. Any failure in your life, there are steps leading up to that failure. So let me put this in a marketing perspective. So you have a product, you want to sell it. You've got to get the word out there. There are funnels and email sequences and all these different things that I'm still learning. But if you say, okay, here's the process. I'm going to send an email with an offer in that email. And I send it to 1,000 people. And only 50 people open that email. And that's just step one. Did I fail 950 times? Or did I succeed 50? And if you think about it from that standpoint, wait, a failure is not a failure if you look at it correctly. See, what I did was I sent it to 1,000 and 50 open it. That's a heck of a good open rate, actually, if that were to happen. I mean, usually the open rate actually on something like that is like 20. But the point is, if you say 20, okay, did I fail 980 times? No. People have things that they're doing in their lives. You can work on that. If you know the numbers, you can fix the failure, quote unquote, rate. You can make it better. So then the next step is, okay, well, who clicked through after? So they opened it. Who clicked through? And out of that, let's say 50, maybe 5 even clicked through to your offer. And you say, okay, so 5 clicked through. So that means 995 failures or 5 successes. You got to think about it that way. Ooh, that sounds like a failure that needs to be fantasticated in there. When you have a 3-year-old, this is how it works. So, hold on a second. Honey, can you take him in the other room, please? My goodness. So, welcome to live podcasting. So, when you let's say 5 people go forward with what you have, then you're looking at 995 people that didn't go for whatever you had. Again, is that 995 failures or 5 wins? Now, those are 5 opens now, and they click through to your offer. Now, that doesn't mean they buy. Let's say one person buys. So you send out 1,000 and one person buys. Did you have 999 failures or 1 win? That's the mindset aspect of the fantastication of failure. Because if you look at it, you go, okay, that's fantastic. That's fascinating. That's fantasticating. I know, having fun with alliteration here. The way to do it is to get a 40,000 foot view of whatever it is you're doing, whatever it is you're working on. You look at the whole thing, the whole process. So let's say that's marketing stuff. Maybe that doesn't resonate with anybody. Maybe the dating process resonates. I know a little something about that. Hey, I wrote a book called Food Game, A Man's Ultimate Recipe for Dating Success. You can pick it up on Amazon right now. And in that process of dating, a lot of women, doing my field research, and believe me, I got told no a lot. I did stupid things. I would drink too much and say stupid things. I would come from a place of insecurity because I was hurt and I was in a dark place, and I would take things the wrong way, somebody would say to me. Or I would learn a technique for dating or relationships, and I would try it and I would bungle it. I wouldn't be too good at it and I would piss somebody off. Or I would try it again and it would work kind of. And then I'd get better and better at it until it was like, oh, okay, I got this. I figured it out. Cool. And then I could do it over and over and over again. And I did. And I tweak the process as I go and get a little bit better at this and that, and communicate better, communicate deeper and stronger, and be clear. One thing, by the way, especially in dating, is being honest. Being honest with who you are, where you are and what you can do and can't do. That whole fake it till you make it thing is BS, and I have a podcast on that too. When you're honest about any quote unquote failure that you have, then you can look at it as a learning perspective. Just like sports. If a football team loses a game, what do? They go back and look at the footage. They look at the video. They're like, okay, we were running our play this way, and this is where, okay, you got off the line too fast. Let's fix that. So next time you come off the line a little slower there and go around. Or whatever it is, whatever that play is. They look at it and they get better. Look at the people in sports that are massively well known. Like I just watched The Last Dance about Michael Jordan. And he'll tell you, he failed so many times. But guess what? He would go back and be shooting and shooting and shooting. Practice, 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 practice. He says, if you miss something, well, you miss it. And then you practice and practice and practice. So the next time, maybe you won't miss it. And you practice and practice and practice. And maybe the next time you won't miss it. So your daily practice on anything that you're doing matters greatly. Because that way, you're learning from any failure, quote unquote, any lesson that you learn, you can apply the next time on a deeper level. And another thing, when people have failure, they consider that the end. I failed. I lost my job. That's the end of their life. It's not. People have, I think it's on the average of 3 different career paths over their life these days. Coach for me is becoming one. I've been a coach off and on for 20 years because I've taught courses and taught voiceover and taught marketing and taught this in small aspects of it. And now I'm going to a different one. I'm really focusing on this angle. Now, did I fail at everything else? Uh-oh. More fantastication needs to happen. But did I fail at those other things? No, I didn't. I learned from them, and I can apply those things to where I am now. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be the same thing. I can apply lessons learned from real estate to dating. I can apply lessons learned from dating to real estate. I can apply lessons learned from real estate and dating to voiceover, marketing, to coaching. I mean, everything can mix and match. So first off, if you have a quote-unquote failure in one thing, look at it from a fascinating standpoint. Say, that's fascinating. How can I take the learnings from this and apply it to something else, maybe? Because maybe the way you're doing one thing in one arena will not work, but taking that exact same process in another arena might work perfectly. This is kind of based loosely on the ideas of Jay Abrams. He is like the billion-dollar man. And what he did, he would take trainings, he would go into businesses and say it's a real estate business, realtor or something. And they'd have 1,000 realtors or whatever. And he'd say, okay, all of you go read a book on motorcycle maintenance. And half of you go read a book on how to make ice cream cones. Something weird like that. And they would go and they'd read, and they would find a process or a little something, a little tidbit that they could apply from that business to their business where they would never have seen it before because they weren't looking. They would only look at their failure and how do we fix our failure from within our failure, from within our narrow window. So broaden the window on any lessons that you learn from a quote-unquote failure. And wipe off the term failure anyway, because it's just a shift. It really is. It's a shift, it's a lesson, and it's something to learn from. And it's an education, really. So when I say one great way to look at it from the 40,000-foot view, if you're really taking a lesson, a challenge, a quote-unquote failure. I'm going to keep saying failure for this one because just so you understand what I'm saying. If you take a failure, if you're telling yourself you've got a failure, and it's really, really deep in your heart and in your head and it's just kind of smothering you, if you can visualize going up 40,000 feet up and looking down, and even further, going up to space where the earth is teeny tiny, in your visualization, how important is that failure? Literally. I mean, as you broadcast, as you move out from that, it looks smaller and smaller and smaller. I mean, you go, wow, she said no to me on this date, and now I kind of angered her because I said something stupid. Zoom out. Okay, are you ever going to meet another person? Probably. Yeah, okay, zoom out. Are there millions of other people out there? Yes. And are they all doing their own thing? Yes. Are they any of them thinking about you right now? Probably not. Oh, wow. Zoom out even further. It's like, whoa, look, other countries. Oh, look, the world. It gets smaller and smaller and smaller the higher up you go. So instead of being down in it, take yourself out of this problem and look above it and say, okay, now I've seen this. I'm looking at it from a larger perspective, and I'm looking at the different angles of what actually happened, what I can learn from this and apply later. Then what you're seeing now is an education. What you're seeing is it was a test that you may have flunked or failed. You get to take the test again. You know, this is not the end all be all. This is not like school where they say, okay, well, you flunked that test, now it's on your permanent record. No, you fail a test, you can retake the damn test. You may have to do it with somebody else or another job, another business, another product, another project, or whatever it is. But you can take the test again. And this time you know the answers. You know, I thought about this quote that I made up. I don't know how it is, but it's like, think about it this way. Weightlifters go to failure every day. Think about that for a second. How does a muscle grow? You got to rip it. You got to rip it up. And then it rebuilds, it heals, it gets better, it gets stronger. It's the same thing with failure, guys. If failure happens, then you learn from it, you get stronger the next time around. You learn more. And now you're better and stronger and faster and smarter. So instead of pushing a bunch of failure on you, understand you just put a layer of protection on you is what you did. You're like, oh, okay, I got that. Now I see that. Now I know that. And then next time something happens that's going down the same path, you go, I know this path. I'm going to say no right now because you're wiser and you're smarter because you didn't sit there and stew in the failure. You fantasticated it and you said, oh, okay, I get it. That was fascinating what happened there. And I'm learning from it and I'm applying it to the rest of my life. That's important. And also, remember, a failure is only one. It's only one thing that happened. It could be a big one, it could be a small one, it doesn't matter, but it's only one thing. Don't add it to the pile of other things. It's like people say, oh, I'm just a failure. No, you are not a failure. You're a person who did a thing that did not work or that didn't come across as expected or didn't have the results you wanted. You are not a failure. Don't associate yourself with the word failure because you are not a failure. You are a human being. We can go way more woo-woo with that. You are a celestial being. You are a being of light. You are energy. But you are a person that did a thing that worked or did not work. That's it. Don't put more onus on yourself than you need to. It's simply a thing that happened for better or worse. And guess what? It's in the past because the only thing we have is right freaking now. The past is gone. The future never gets here. The future never gets here. Understand that. Because you're always in the present. Future comes, past goes. Past happens, future's never happened. So why even think about the future? It's never happened. No, who saw COVID coming? Who knew that we were going to be here March 3rd and we were going home March 24th? And who knew we were going to be here until February, a whole year in another country? I didn't know that. Not a clue. So the future, don't worry about that. Don't pile on other failures and bring them with you to that future. The only way to do that is to be living in your past on those past failures and keep them in your brain in the present. If you keep thinking failure, 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 when something happens, you're thinking failure, boom, failure, boom, failure, boom. Get rid of that. Think fascination, lesson learned. That's a cool lesson. And when something happens, boom, oh, I got it. I know this one. I know how to react now because I was fascinated by that lesson that I learned on that past thing. That way, excuse me, you can react quicker with better knowledge. That's why a black belt is a black belt. A black belt, nowadays they give you the belts and belts and belts. Well, that's not what a black belt signifies. A black belt signifies use. A black belt originally it's a white belt, and it gets darker and darker and darker over the years of training and training and training until it's black because you've been using it and other people have been grabbing it and you've been fighting and grappling and everything. It just gets dirtier and dirtier and dirtier. It's kind of disgusting, actually, but the point is, yes, they clean it, but it's been so worn that it gets dark, 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 dark. The darker, the more you've worked. That's the concept behind a black belt. Do you think that person with the black belt did everything perfectly every time? Because if they're so good and nobody can touch them, guess what? Their belt would stay white. They'd never become a black belt because they got thrown, they got hit, they got busted, they got nailed, they got all kinds of things happen to them because life happens to you. So you're getting a black belt in your life right now. Everything that happens, every quote-unquote failure that happens to you is another deeper hue on that black belt that is yours. It's becoming yours. And it's everything that you do. Everything that you do. Look at it from a fascination of, wow, I get the opportunity to do this thing, whatever it is. You've got the opportunity to succeed or quote-unquote fail. To succeed or learn a lesson. See, this is the awesome part about it. If you get rid of failure, you go, whoa, okay, well, that happened. It's undeniable. That thing happened. It didn't happen the way you wanted it to, but you look at it and go, okay, now, what happened there? How do I make that better the next time? How do I do this thing that I'm working on better? And that is how you fantasticate it. Because if you're fascinated by the process, there is no failure. I think it was it Colonel Sanders, Kentucky Fried Chicken. How old was he? I think he was like 70 when he decided he wanted to sell his chicken recipe. He wanted to get out there and franchise it. And he went door to door, restaurant to restaurant. I don't know the whole story, but I think it was like 1,000 times he got told no. 1,000 times. He kept going. Now, we know about KFC. Everybody knows about Colonel Sanders. And that's the amazing thing because he had what? A recipe for chicken. That's it. I got recipes for chicken. They're still not as good. Damn it. KFC. Damn it. It's good. Anyway. So, I remember also with failure, the overall, guys, the worst case scenario, if you quote unquote fail, what's the worst thing that can happen? I know some of the worst things that can happen because it happened to me. Bankruptcy, failure, divorce, failure, losing my home, failure, losing my dogs, failure, losing everything, literally, most of the family and people that I knew and loved, failure, 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 moving to LA, moving into an apartment that was the size of my old living room and cost me more than my mortgage, failure. Going and spending all the money that I had left on casting directors and agent director workshops and spending all that money and getting nothing. I had 3 auditions out of the whole thing, didn't even get a decent agent, got cast in nothing, spent all that time, failure, 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 over and over and over again. And let me tell you, I know the feeling. But guess what? Worst case scenario, I'm alive. I didn't die. I'm alive, and I kept going, and I got better. I got better and better and better, and now look at where I am. I'm in Australia on the Gold Coast. That's awesome. I've got this beautiful, amazing wife who is absolutely fantastic, and I've got this beautiful little 3-year-old who you can hear often because he's got lungs like Daddy. And it's all a learning experience. Do we have our issues? Do we have things we have to deal with? Absolutely, all the time. Do I still have things that I would consider failures? Daily, guys, daily. And I say, you know what? It's fascinating. What am I going to do about it? I'm going to keep freaking going. That's what I'm going to do about it. There's a saying that success is a terrible teacher. And that's true. Because if you always have success, how do you learn to deal with problems? It's like, well, I'm always successful. I never have any problems. Then you don't know shit. You know nothing about things. When it hits the fan, what are you going to do? You're probably going to flip out because you don't have a clue. I've had things hit the fan a lot. I've got a lot of things right now that are going, huge things that are tanking. Huge. Millions. So it's like, wow, that was great. That's great. Wow. That sucks. Fascinating. What am I learning from that? Plan for a pandemic. That's a big one. Sorry, I said millions. It's a million. But the point is, what's the worst case scenario? I'm going to live. Credit may be shot. Okay. So what? That doesn't hurt me physically. There are certain things I will have to shift. But that's fascinating. And that's fascinating because I will learn more from this situation than anything else that I've ever learned, because I haven't been in that situation, although I've been in some of the situation before, parts of it. So I do know some of the things that are happening. I'm like, okay, great. You know what? I'll keep going. You see, when people in business, when they go bankrupt, people are like, oh, he went bankrupt. He went bankrupt. Yeah, because businesses fail all the time. Like 85% fail. It's hard. Business is hard, guys. And it's funny because people that say that, well, see, he had bankruptcies. There's people that never started a business, number one, so they don't even know. But if somebody had bankruptcies and divorce, I get it. If there's a reason that they're doing it and they're not learning the lesson, then yes, that's a failure. But if there's a reason that it happens and they learn from that and they find it fascinating and go in and fix those problems and learn from those failures, then they know more than the people who are successful. Because the people who are successful probably have never had to go through the problems that they had. You can weigh that for good or bad or ugly. I don't care. It doesn't matter, but everybody's life is different. If you learn from the failure, it's not a failure. It's a lesson. And it's amazing and it's fantastic because you look at it because it's fascinating. It's fantasticating. And that's the point I'm making. So I guess lastly, as long as you can look at things from a different way, reframe a failure into a lesson, look at it from the 40,000 foot view, really look at it. Remember, it's a singular event. Remember that you are a person. You are not a failure. You are a person who did something that did not work. That's it. You have a choice and a decision to do it again correctly with the new information that you have, which is awesome because that means that you have learned a lesson. So the next time it happens, you're going to do better. Like weightlifters. You got that weight, you can only do so much. But once you build that up and you rip that muscle and you go to failure, down the road, you can do more. Why? Because you've gotten stronger and stronger and smarter. And that's what happens with failure, as long as you turn it into fantasticating. So failure's only failure if you fail to fantasticate it. Get out there, look at it, and go, wow, that's fascinating. I dig that. What can I learn from this? Look down on it, figure it out, and remember, you're probably not going to die. So fix it. Learn and go do great things. Get off your own back right now because that is not helping you. And that is the lesson for today. So failure's only failure if you fail to fantasticate it, look at it, and say fascinating. And go out there, have a wonderful day, and make it fascinating. See you next time. Bye-bye. There you go, kiddies. That was the podcast. Let's see if I can find out where he was screaming and be like, okay, hold on. I need to get going. I need to cut that out. There it was. Hold on a second. Let's see together. Here it is. My goodness. So, welcome to the live podcast. Hold on a second. So, when you let's say All right. See you later, Ashley. Cool. I'm glad it was fun. Remember, I've got the link in there for the Reluctant Heroes Journey. It closes in about 24 hours. So you won't be able to get in at that price point anymore. And it's going to keep going. So I got some good stuff coming in. All right. So that's it. That's a little bit about fantasticating your failures. I think that was fun. I'm glad I found that word because it really, I love being a neurolinguistic programming coach. I love verbiage. I listen to that. I'm like, that is amazing. Fantasticate. Wow. Fantasticate. Make it fanciful or fantastic. I fantasticated it. That's a pretty cool way to look at things, man. And you got Star One popping in and say hi. Glad you're here. I just did a podcast. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I'm going to go ahead and export this one. Export as MP3. Let's see. Failure is only failure if you fail to fantasticate it. There you go. Booyah. Saving it. All right. It's on my computer. I thought you were ending this, but I'm still here. Well, that's true about being failures. Failures? Yes, I'm still here. Because you remember the podcast goes till 1. So I do the podcast and then we chat about it. So ask me questions. Let's talk about the process. Let's talk about what we got going on here. I put black belt weight lifter analogy or metaphors. Are these metaphors or analogies? I think it's analogies. I think that's it. There you go. So, yeah, that's it. I am back. I am on, baby. Isn't this great? So, at least at this location, we have really good internet. I've had no problems with, a couple of little slowdowns, but nothing like we had at the other place. So that is a great thing. So if I do my trainings, which I'm going to do, then I think I'll do it live on YouTube. I don't know. I'm still working on that. But, doing a podcast, I do it just like this. I can do it on Twitch and, pop it over to YouTube or whatever. But I'll save the video, the training, and turn that into my course, which is going to be very cool. And but that's we're going to see how that works, how the podcast how I put it together. Because I'm looking at I'm in a training right now. See, I'm constantly getting coaching too, guys. I'm telling you. I'm on a training tomorrow. I got a training tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. I got to get up and go to it. Sorry, I got some dry skin there. I know, that's right. I'm preening right in front of you. But I'm doing a money mindset course with Jim Fortin tomorrow. So that's going to be cool. That's going to be really good. I'll have some really good aha moments, and I'm going to get my money brain situated and put together. So that's that, guys. I hope you're having a fantastic day. I know I am having a good day. I have got a lot of things done. I've got some more things to do for the Reluctant Heroes Journey. So as I said, look up at the link and the scroll here in the chat. There's a link there. Go look at it, check it out, at least read it, and see if it's something for you, because I know it is. I've got testimonial after testimonial after testimonial of people that are in the group, and it's only $11 a month. That's it. And there's so much training and coaching and fun stuff in there. Not too much, because if it was too much, you'd be like, I don't know, I can never do it all. Don't worry about it. I do one thing a week. That's all I ask. One thing a week. And it's just a reframe, just a way of looking at something. It could be something small, it could be something physical, it could be something mental, it could be food, it could be anything. All right, Luigi, go get it. Enjoy your podcast. Have a good time. And that's the thing that is so great about the group, is the fact that you've got friends. You've got people in there. And what happens at con stays at con 2 in disc form. I will not, because nobody has discs anymore. It's not worth it for me to do that. There are audios. You can get an audiobook, I believe. You can purchase that at Amazon, I think. Maybe not. I'll have to check on that. I may just do that from my website. That's another thing I'm working on. Because remember, I don't know if you guys heard, I was going to do a live reading on Twitch of my book. Because I have, I think, 15 copies left here in Australia. So I'm going to sell them, but I can only do it in Australia. If you're in the US, I can't sell to you because I'm in Australia. It would cost me more to ship the book than you'd pay for it. So it's a special Australia only deal. But I was going to do a live reading. But then all the protests and all the craziness happened, and so I was like, I'll wait. So I'm going to do that again coming up after I'm done with the Reluctant Hero's journey, and then I figure out what I'm going to do with my other projects. But I will put that together and do a live reading and sell those books. I'll only have 15 of them, so you'll have to get one. Other ones, you can get them at Amazon. You can buy it at Amazon, fine. But these are copies that I have here that I will sign and mail out to you here in Australia. But it's only Australia, and it's only 15 people that I'll be able to do that with. So I will let you guys know. I will have probably a couple of weeks run up to that. But I've just got to figure out how to do my marketing better, because I've had failures that I'm fascinated by. And I'm looking at them and so go, okay, how do I really get the word out there? How do I make that happen? And that's learning. That's just training and coaching, and Kim does a good job, and I'm learning from her as well. And she's going to be in my podcast soon. We're going to start up the interviews. I've just got to get that done with her, and then once we get that one done, then I load it up Twitch, and then you'll see how it works. So if you're inside the Reluctant Hero's journey, you get to be on live on the Zoom calls. You'll get the Zoom link, and you can come in and you can chat and say hi to whoever I've got on. And I've got some big names that have said they'll come on. So that's coming up as soon as possible. I'm going to make a plan today to put it in the calendar with Kim, and we're going to do our interview. Get that done. So that's a big thing for me today. That way you'll have access to that, and you'll be able to see that. So my Mind Scrambler podcast is not just me babbling. It is going to be interviews as well. So some will be by myself. Interviews probably be a little bit longer. We'll just see. And let my guests tell their story on their personal growth path, and some of the tips, tricks, tools, techniques that they use and utilize and can share with you. And if they have products, you can buy their products and learn, because Kim has all kinds of stuff that is really good. I know, because I see her makeup. So I recommend you follow her at crownyourself.com. Really good. Because, she's kind of amazing. And that's why I married her, because she's super, super duper. That's it, guys. I think, let me put that one more time. Here's the link for the last time here. Like I said, about 24 hours left. Once I close it, it's done. You cannot get in until I open it up again, which probably won't be until, August, September, October, November, maybe December. I may do a Christmas / my birthday special bash opening, but it'll probably be $15 or $17 a month then. So I think it'll end up at about $29 once it gets bigger, because there's a certain point where you got to go like, no more. But we'll see. We'll see what happens, guys. I'm glad you guys are here supporting me and listening, and I hope you're learning from the things that I'm giving you, because this is coming. This is real stuff that I'm giving you guys. And my podcast came out today, which was, "You're not an imposter unless you're a secret agent. Then that's just cool. How to break free of imposter syndrome." So if you have wanted to write a book, or like Luigi said, start a podcast, you're like, who am I to start a podcast? That's an imposter syndrome thing that's in your head. It's a story you're telling yourself. Same thing with, I want to write a book, but who's going to listen to me writing a book? Well, I've written 3. So some people will listen. I mean, it hasn't been a bestseller or anything. Well, actually it was a bestseller, but not in the form of New York Times bestseller, I sold 1 million copies, nothing like that. But it's good stuff, and I know that, and it's more marketing. I still need to market the book and get that out there, and I will. So, but that's imposter syndrome, and that kept me from writing the book for a long time. I was going to write the book during my first marriage. I was going to call it The Bachelor's Cookbook, and it was going to be great, and I really wanted to help guys, not have to go through. Well, actually, I wanted to help guys at that point because I just thought I had a really good relationship. And turns out I didn't. I had a lot to learn, which is great because I learned all those lessons, and then I released Food Games, so I really knew what I was talking about. So that's cool. And and even with that, I was like, imposter. I was like, who's gonna listen to me? I'm like, I ain't worried about that because it's my journey. I'm just sharing my perspective from my journey, and if my journey can help somebody else to not have to go through what I went through, then I win. So that's what it's about. And your journeys are. Ooh, I got goo on my shirt. Has that been there the whole time? Can't even tell. It's when you have a 3-year-old, man. You never know what's on you. So, all right, guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and end this and go clean up my. I think that's jam. I think I did that. I think that was from breakfast. Some strawberry jam. Australian-made strawberry jam. Very good, very fresh, very nice. Made in Australia by Australians. For Australian citizens. And those visiting the Gold Coast. That's me. All right, guys. Have a wonderful day. Go out there, do something awesome, and fantasticating. And I'll see you guys next time. Right here. Adios, muchachos. Bump. Hitting buttons. Button. There we go.